And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Monday, July 28th, 2025. Jumping into the weather-related headlines across the state, we have showers, a little cooler temperatures across the central and northern interior as we have west-northwest flow aloft. It's transported moisture into the heart of the mainland. And so it's going to be wet now through Wednesday before tapering off later Wednesday night, early Thursday. And we're also going to see some showers spin on back north and west across the panhandle tonight into Tuesday. And as that arm or spoke trough of low pressure waves toward the northern Gulf, it's going to run up against some of that west-northwest flow aloft over south central. So we're going to see some rain showers developing over south central come Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday. That would also include the Anchorage Bowl. We continue to closely monitor the Mendenhall Glacier Lake as it continues to fill 3 to 4 feet per day. We had 2 historic floods back to back, 2024 and 2023. So as this glacier dam lake continues to fill, we'll be closely keeping tabs on that. And at the end of my presentation, we will have Andy Park, one of the meteorologists with the Juneau Forecast Office, explain the setup of this situation. And then we are looking for above normal temperatures across much of the state, especially the southwest quadrant of the mainland, into early August, with wetter conditions returning into the panhandle. And looking at a couple of spots here today across the state, up there north side of the Alaska Range, Lakeman, Chumana, rain showers 59. We have showers across areas there of the interior and into the north. Meanwhile, Haines is under a heat advisory until this evening. Sunny, almost 80 degrees, 79 there. So a little sneaky ridge of high pressure right along the northeastern Gulf Coast, northern panhandle has allowed for that to happen. And so as a result, we have that heat advisory in effect along the northeastern Gulf Coast into, especially though, mainly around Haines, Skagway, Juneau areas, because temperatures in some spots will be well in the 70s to near 80 degrees through early evening. Fire weather outlook coming up for Tuesday, the Alaska Interagency Coordination Center. This outlook provided by Heidi, one of the main fire weather forecasters there. So on Tuesday, we're expecting cooler, wetter weather across essentially the central northern interior. That really puts down the fire danger. Now, south central, Copper River Basin and Tok are going to stay warm into Tuesday with high fire danger, but cooler and damper conditions will follow Tuesday night and Wednesday. The Yukon, upper Yukon Valley continues to be warm and mostly dry with some active fires ongoing. And on Thursday, high pressure, Thursday and Friday, we're going to get high pressure starting to build back in over the interior. This will likely increase the fire potential again with warmer and drier weather, while southern Alaska, south central areas are going to see some rain showers here, as I said, for Wednesday, a little cooler and damper weather. So the fire danger coming up for Tuesday, July 29th has really come down here in all of the interior, especially north of the Alaska Range. Still a few pockets of high fire danger, upper Tanana Valley, parts of the Copper River Basin extending down, even around Anchorage area and down into the northwestern Kenai Peninsula, around Swanson River area there, northwest of Cooper Landing. So, and as I said, we will be getting the rain developing in these areas come Tuesday night and especially during the day Wednesday. Quick check of satellite imagery. We have this broad low pressure circulation. Lows down in the North Pacific, but this arm, this spoke, trough of low pressure spinning back up north and westward is going to get the panhandle. So you're going to see some showers developing from southeast to northwest this evening and tonight. So first areas will be Prince of Wales Island, Ketchikan, and then pulling on up towards Sitka, and eventually this will kind of skim along the northern Gulf Coast. And by the time that bumps up against this west-northwest flow coming across the mainland, we'll see an area of rain blossom here along and south of the Alaska Range, the Matsu Valley, areas surrounding Cook Inlet, including Anchorage area. So again, wetter weather coming for Tuesday night and on Wednesday. And then still ridge of high pressure holding here in the southeast Bering now, just east, a little east there of the Pribilovs. It'll continue eastward to off Kuskokwim Bay, and as a result, we have another potentially areas that get any sun could be quite a bit warmer. But one of the problems is when you have warm, moist air over the cooler waters of the Bering Sea, you end up with low clouds and fog. So late tonight into early on Tuesday morning, and there's the low sitting down here in the North Pacific, and a little arm of low pressure trough pulling moisture back up across the panhandle, producing showers. We continue to see showers central, northern, interior. Little shot of cooler air running across the north slope and Beaufort Sea coast for Tuesday. There's the high pressure situated now just east of the Pribilovs. And then as we get into Wednesday, still the low down here in the North Pacific, just kind of this gyre spinning, pull some of that troughiness back toward Kenai Peninsula. That's when we have the west-northwest flow aloft running into this coming westward. So you're getting an area of lift, and that's why we'll see the rain blossom in there later Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday. And then a push of warmer air coming up out of the North Pacific, crossing the Aleutian. So that's going to lead to some more rain showers or areas of drizzle and fog and low cloudiness. And on Thursday, we still have the low spinning here a little further north, just south of the Gulf, and some more showers possible there across the panhandle. A little drier, though. We have the high pressure rebuilding Thursday into Friday, Saturday up here across the central northern interior, so the sun will come back out, things will dry up. Fire danger could go back up, especially upper portion of the Yukon River Basin and areas eventually like 40 Mile Gold Country, typically where we have a higher fire danger. Back here to the west, we have this low pressure that is pulling in some warm, moist air across the eastern half of the Aleutians up back into the Bering. So as I said, some showers and also some lower stratus clouds and fog associated with that feature. Low temperatures tomorrow morning, still quite mild south central, lows near 60 degrees potentially in the valley around Wasilla, Palmer. Even Anchorage, and then 50s here, upper 50s throughout the panhandle, so mild conditions. Up along the Arctic coast, near 40 low Utqiagvik, 40s going down along the Chukchi Sea coast and extending from St. Lawrence Island down to St. Paul at 48. And then for Tuesday, a couple of warm spots, not as extensive as today. It'll be cooler in Haines, not up near 80 degrees. Highs generally 60s, maybe an isolated 70 in the panhandle on Tuesday. Could get up to near 75 at Northway. That would be one of the warmer spots. Even an isolated thunderstorm could pop up there. But down here, because of that high moving eastward, if you get any sunshine inland away from Bristol Bay, you could see temperatures into the 70s, especially there at Dillingham and King Salmon. And then on Wednesday morning, we find lows a little cooler in the wake of that weak front coming across the north slope and Arctic coast. Lows in some areas back down mid-upper 30s. Otherwise, still 50s common here, south central and middle upper Yukon. And lows generally mid-upper 50s across the panhandle. Lows just above 50, extending out along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians. And Wednesday afternoon temperatures not quite as warm as we've seen. A few isolated lower 70s in the panhandle possible, but 70 there at Fort Yukon and Eagle, 72 over at Northway, and then again around Bristol Bay, inland from the bay, still near 70 though at Dillingham and King Salmon. A little cooler, but typical 50s out here along areas of the west coast. So quick check now of the temperature outlook as we get into the first week of August, August 3rd through the 7th. Above normal temperatures across much of the mainland, near normal in the panhandle. But most notably, we could the probability is quite high of above normal temperatures all throughout the western interior, especially as we go up the Yukon River Valley. So again, warmer conditions setting up there. And precipitation-wise, the best chance for some above normal precipitation. Right now it doesn't look excessive, but there'll be some rain episodes just because of the way these weather systems pull moisture back to the north or come in up from the southwest. The southeast areas of the state panhandle, including along the eastern mainland, Alcan border down through the Kenai Peninsula, and maybe even back toward Kodiak Island, so that would imply some sort of circulation here in the Gulf that could occasionally bring some rain or rain showers into areas along the Gulf up into the eastern mainland. But drier conditions than normal are expected along the west coast, centered on Norton Sound, the Seward Peninsula, and Kotzebue, and that would be August 3rd through the 7th. Now, coming up next is a short video provided by the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Juneau, and Andy Park will talk about what is this glacial lake outflow flood associated with the Suicide Basin and the Mendenhall Glacier that sits above Juneau.
This is Andrew Park with the National Weather Service in Juneau, Alaska. The purpose of this video is to help define elements when we're talking about a GLOF, the Glacial Lake Outburst Flood. Right off the bat, if you go to our Suicide Basin Monitoring Current Conditions page, you can see a helpful map where we're defining the Suicide Basin, its location, the Mendenhall Lake and its location, and then the Mendenhall River and its location. When the event's ongoing, when we talk about water levels inside the basin, we're talking about what our equipment is measuring with the water elevation inside Suicide Basin. When we're talking about river levels with the Mendenhall Lake, we're talking about a gauge located on the lake. And then when we're talking about impacts to flooding, we're talking about how the water levels rise in the lake and the impacts on that river as the water levels discharge from the lake down through the community. If we move down this page, we can see a few helpful items. We see images. We can see the scale of where that lake is. We can see a vector as if the water's rising or not. We can also see a camera at the front of the basin, and we can see a clear image of the ice dam from the Mendenhall Glacier. The hydrographs, we can see water levels in the date. Sometimes the laser gauge at Suicide Basin can be impacted by icebergs, which you can see these jumps. So we need to pay attention to that. This sensor is located right here, right above the basin. If we move to the Mendenhall Lake, it's called the Mendenhall River near Rock Bay. It's kind of a misnomer, but this sensor is located on Mendenhall Lake, somewhere in this area. Now this season, we have a few more items of instrumentation and equipment on the river, and that's where these sensors are. These are actually over the river, so the Backloop Bridge, the pedestrian bridge from the high school, and also the Brotherhood Bridge, and it's tidally influenced, so we can see the water levels ebb and flow. If we go back to our map, we can see these sensors in the Backloop Bridge, the Brotherhood Bridge, or the pedestrian bridge, excuse me, and then down here at the Brotherhood Bridge. Now we use this sensor here to make informed decisions on what the river is going to do based off historic crests and rises. This is a quick video just helping to define the locations of areas we're talking about and also the sensors we're using. Again, when we're talking about the basin, we're talking about the Suicide Basin. When we're talking about the Mendenhall Lake, it's exactly what we're talking about, this lake, and then the river and the flooding impacts through the flood impact zone. Thanks for watching.